This topic was not on my plans at all. It happened because my boyfriend ran into something while he was online and he shared it with me, and we had a pretty good discussion about it. So I thought I would bring the boiled down version of that discussion and share it with you guys. It's really not something that has never come up here before as a topic, but I think this one presented a little side of it that I don't think I have explored before. It's got to do with people who like to dismiss the past. They like to dismiss history. They don't want to acknowledge it, or they want to completely invest more time at finding other pieces of writing, other pieces of literature or evidence that maybe invalidate another aspect of history. Say, the whole denial about things like what happens when a group of people are targeted and they get deleted from the world, that type of thing. There are denials about the Armenians, there are denials about the Jews, and it's no different from, say, we cannot deny that the slave trade happened, but some people are in denial about how horrible it truly was to live as an enslaved person. And sometimes people would rather research things that debunk that those things happen the way they happen, as opposed to accepting it, acknowledging it, and carrying on without making decisions that could perpetuate those days coming back to our modern days. In modern days, we are supposed to have moved on from those things without forgetting, acknowledging why that was bad, acknowledging what wrong, what hurt, what injuries, what damage came out from that, and continue in the present, making better decisions, being a better society. Well, what we were discussing yesterday had to do with people who are very fixated on saying, why should I care about the past when I wasn't there, nobody I knew was there, or it's that whole, the past does not affect my present, and very likely it won't affect my future, despite in some future your past has had impact on the kind of future that you're going to be experiencing when the future comes. I guess when it comes to historical things, I used to have a little bit of that attitude myself, especially when I was a middle schooler. Transitioning into high school, I kept thinking, why does this get repeated to me? Why? But as an adult, especially an adult that has been more involved in politics, a little more than I have ever been in my life, I cannot claim to understand everything or to know just about everything that's going on in the world. But in sum, my opinion in politics is extremely simple. It's all about discussing the economy. It's all about discussing money. It's all about discussing who am I going to go bully out of their resources so that I can bring it to my land, because in my land I have my businesses, I have my corporations, and I have my people, and it's pretty much a never-ending ambition. That's the way I see politics. It's just discussing the economy, period, nothing else. And if you think about it, am I wrong? Because, say, when we talk about healthcare, why don't we do certain things? Economics. When it comes to fixing things in communities like roads and shit, why don't we do certain things? Because that requires money. Where's that money going to? Where is it coming from? Why are we not directing it to the areas that you can see with your peepers need attention? And basically, politics is all talking about the way that we are going to or not going to spend money. So these individuals who my boyfriend was observing online, posting whatever they were posting, they were very defensive about their stance. Like, no, I'm not going to learn about the past. I'm not going to explore the past. I don't care about the past because I'm living in the present. And like my boyfriend was saying, you owe a lot to the past. We all owe a lot to the past. We owe everything to the past. Someone had to think about designing our roads. Someone had to think about designing the wheel so that we can haul things farther, much easier, all those things. Someone had to think about designing homes. Someone had to think about designing clothing. Everything ever that came before you that you personally did not develop or contribute, that you were able to partake in or simply inherit or something like that, it is because of the past. But what I dislike about attitudes like that is that it closes your mind to the point that you feel entitled to everything, but you don't care to learn about the origin of things. And if you're not going to learn the origin of things, at least be curious about what may have crossed someone's mind to make something exist. For instance, the post office. I used the post office pretty regularly. I am glad someone in the past thought about how we may disperse from our families or friends or, say, strangers that we may provide a service for and we need to send them things. I'm glad someone thought about designing a network in which I can take a box, put stuff in it, and I can write certain numbers and letters that mean something. It's coordinates in a map, pretty much, that on my behalf, they can take that item and they'll do the work of transporting it to its destination for me, as opposed to me physically having to be the one personally delivering everything that I need to mail out anywhere in the world. That would suck. My life would be absorbed by one package at a time. Or maybe if I have 2 or 3 packages at the same time, I would have to think about which route to take to make it most efficient. And needless to say, my car would have died like within the first year of me embarking on this journey. And I just wanted to bring that here. I'm not going to continue on because I'm pretty sure that by now you get the point. But I don't expect for you to spend your entire life obsessing over the past, because if you do that, then I feel like you're missing out on your present and then you're not shaping the future. But at least try to learn about the very significant events from the past that led to certain changes that you are living in modern days but differently. For instance, war has changed. War used to be much more personal, but now it seems like war is now fought from greater distances. Like, as opposed to meeting your enemy, which the person you're facing didn't even personally directly do something to you, but that person you're facing on the battlefield, you used to be able to look at their eyes. You were going to be the last person they ever saw, or they were going to be the last person you ever saw. And it used to have that personal touch to it, but now we're fighting wars with a greater distance in between, because now we can attack from a distance. We have planes to do that, drones to do that, all that type of thing. What led to the evolution of the tactics used in warfare? That. Explore that, consider that, think about that, and the meaning it has in the present. What meaning, what effects could that have on you? Because to me personally, one issue I can point out about that is, sure, we may be saving soldier lives, but it could mean that the damage is now greater. It could mean that now civilians more than ever can be caught in attacks like that. Whereas in the past, at least, if you had a human being on foot, they could make real-time decisions of, oh, I cannot attack on this side because that's where civilians are. I gotta watch out for the other side because that's where the enemies are, something like that. I don't know. Just try to think about it. Try to consider what it means to have fewer humans on foot fighting wars. And I'm not saying that wars that are fought on feet, like on trenches and stuff, is over. I'm just saying that technology has advanced to where now even war has become less personal. And now maybe an individual who would have served in such a war, who would come home and tell us some stories, now we don't get to hear that. And that could create a detachment between the populace and what it means for conflict to happen. We may only learn about that through textbooks. In an ideal world, we wouldn't have wars at all. We wouldn't be trying to destroy each other. And those things would just be appalling things that we read on books. But our modern days have moved on from that. But it isn't. And I think that we need to study the past so that present day conflicts, we observe them, we see them, we feel them, we understand what that means and what we can expect for our future to look like after one of those events. See what I mean? So anyways, you guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it very simple. I think that we all should be curious about our personal pasts, like say, learn about your family and stuff, your own past, evaluate it a little bit. Don't obsess over it, but just be aware of some things that may have happened and how they can affect you, whether positively or negatively. And at the very least, study it, be aware, continue to carry on, but try to be a better version of what happened in the past. And if you do that, at least you're progressing. You're going in the right direction, in my opinion, as opposed to regressing because you're operating in your present out of resentment or something crazy like that. See what I mean? But please never ever consider studying the past a waste of time. Be curious, ask questions, and if you have the privilege of having older people around you, ask them shit. I have this one guy at work who he is about the same age as my mom. My mom is maybe like 2 years older than him. And out of the blue, I will randomly go like, so what do you remember about the year 1972? And then he would go like, oh, I was this age and I was in whatever grade in school I was at. And those little things. And then from that, I would ask more questions. I was like, okay, what were your teachers like? What was it like to be in the classroom? What was it like to be in a classroom without computers? What was it like? Those little things. Be a fucking curious human being and use your neurons. Learn how to chew with your neurons. It is a great exercise. It's so good for you. But sometimes I feel like some people, maybe they're afraid of what they're going to discover, what they can discover. And it's like you create a wall, you create a boundary between that information and the way that it's going to stimulate you. And as opposed to facing it, you're like, oh, avoiding it, avoidant relationships with the past. I think that's one of the worst things you can do. Again, don't let the past control you. Don't let it define your present and don't regret your past. But just learn from it. Learn from it. Don't learn the past, as in, I'm going to learn the past so that that becomes what defines me. But learn from it and move on and do better things in the present. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, that's it. Bye.